You know what I find aggravating? Team orders. Not aggravating to the point where it's like the sky is falling. It's just annoying, really, more so than anything. And the reason I say that, if you didn't watch the Formula One Grand Prix this morning from the Hungaroring in Hungary, I believe, I would imagine. Hungaroring, Hungary, tomato. Anyways, if you didn't watch it, Lando Norris ended up winning, and Oscar Piastri finished second. Piastri. I have a hard time making sure to call him Piastri instead of Pastry, since I call him Pastry all the time when I'm talking about him to my wife. Oscar Piastri. Both McLaren drivers finished 1-2. And, you know, the way that the strategy worked out was Lando was on older tires than what Oscar was. Oscar was catching him. Oscar had to drive through several guys to get to Lando, and he had very little issue with any of them. Charles Leclerc, whatever you want to call him. You know, he got around him, no issue. I believe he passed George Russell as well. But then when he got to Lando, he made one shot at Lando going into turn one. Real sharp, it's almost a hairpin corner. And he locked up and just about ran into him, and that was it. That was all she wrote. And they played one radio communication where the team came on and told Oscar, "Hey, look, remember how we race," meaning don't run into Lando. And you expect that, obviously, from teammates to not clean each other out. I get that. I have no problem with that. And it may have not been exact team orders, but we all know what that's basically a coded message, as in, like, hold your position. I mean, he had fresher tires. He had no problem passing anybody else. He had no problem catching up to Lando, but then never passed him. You know, it's one of those things. You don't want your cars to clean each other out, like I said, but at the same time, you know, it's a race. You know, race. Don't take unnecessary risk and wreck, but you know, race. That's what you're there for. That's what we were sitting there watching for. See a race, not you catch him, you made one half move and it didn't work out, so now that's it. I'm just gonna give up and let him go. I don't care for that, you know, and they outlawed supposedly it's against the rules to give team orders, but when have they ever really enforced that rule? You know? It's not something that, I mean, they just don't enforce it. They just don't. And it's one of those things. I'm just not crazy about it. If you enjoy listening to me ramble about motorsports, cars, or anything else I feel like talking about, make sure to like, subscribe, leave a comment, turn on notifications. The works. We are 2 hours away from one of our copyright strikes falling off, which is flipping awesome. I could jump up and down right now. I'm so excited about that happening. Because our reach, as I've explained before, is non-existent. So it stands to reason that when one of those falls off, it'll get a little bit better. It's still not going to be great until the other one's gone, which is going to be like another month from now. But, hey, baby steps. We're getting there. And now I know not to make the same idiotic mistakes I made back when we started this channel, and we wouldn't be going through this. So thank you guys for bearing with me and having to listen to me repeat that nonsense on a daily. I appreciate it. If you're interested in cars, diecast cars, t-shirts, hats, racing memorabilia, anything like that, auto parts, check out our eBay. The link is in the description. We have a sale going on right now and for the foreseeable future. Also, make sure to follow us on X and Facebook. Those links are also in the description. Without further ado, let's get into it. So I watched IMSA today from Road America, and I gotta say, what a race. What a race. I personally love sports car racing, and it's been a thing it's basically happened over the past few years. I used to cannot really stand it. It was kind of boring to me when I was younger. But also, you know, it's kind of like the way NASCAR is now. They're trying to gear it more towards the younger audience, which is why you have all the nonsense and tomfoolery that goes along with NASCAR right now. Well, when I was young, it was just like every other kid, I was most other kids, teenagers. I was into, I wanted to see wrecks. I wanted to see all this other kind of nonsense, constant action. But as I've gotten older, I've kind of, my appreciation for racing has changed to the point where, I don't really care to see accidents. I just want to see good, hard, clean racing, clean to, a certain extent, like beating and banging. I'm totally fine with that. I'm not fine with just dumping somebody and putting them in the fence. And we saw some of that today at Road America. But overall, I mean, yeah, there were some accidents, but there was nothing other than the first accident on like the first lap. That was kind of, I don't know, kind of iffy. You had one car on the outside. They were going through the first corner, right-hander. I think it was first corner. It may have been the second one. Regardless, they were going through a right-hander. Car on the inside kind of washed out, caught the car on the outside in the right rear, turned him across the track into the tire barrier on the inside of the racetrack and absolutely destroyed that race car. I think it was the LMP2 category. And but outside of that, very, very good race, man. There was overtaking from the time the green dropped until it was over. And these guys were elbows out, beating and banging and all that kind of stuff. Fantastic. And then BMW ended up pulling out a 1-2 with RLL, Rahal, Letterman, Lanigan, or Rahal, Lanigan, Letterman. I think Letterman's first, actually. Anyways, they got the 1-2, which is a big deal because they announced that they and BMW are going to be parting company at the end of the season, and which stinks. I really like BMW, especially in the hypercar class. The cars look sick. Plus I just like BMW in general. Even now, the grills on their newer models kind of look like walrus husks. That's the way that I kind of describe it to my wife, is because they've gradually just keep getting bigger and bigger and bigger. Just kind of like walrus tusk or Bugs Bunny, two big teeth. But in a weird way, it kind of looks good. It kind of works. You wouldn't think if someone told you and described what new BMWs look like, and without picture, without photographic context or anything like that, if someone just come up to you and told you, hey, this is what we're going to go with now. This is what it's going to look like. I would imagine you would think in your mind that that's going to be awful. It's going to look terrible, but it actually works. I don't know what it is. It just they kind of look cool. And then on the hypercar platform, it's just fantastic. And so, anyways, they got a win, 1-2, parting company with BMW at the end of the season. So it's a big deal for them. It would be really cool if BMW decided not to part company with them and said, hey, you know what, since y'all are actually winning races now. It's funny, too, because I don't know how many races they've won with BMW, but when I've been watching it, they really haven't been in contention for wins. And I think they've won like one or two, but overall, on a consistent basis, they haven't been in contention to win. And it's just funny to me that that's been the case. Now we've announced that we're going to part company with them. Now we're going to start winning races. Not that that's a deliberate thing. I know it just worked out that way, but it's just funny the way that stuff works out. It's a similar deal to in NASCAR when you would see drivers have their back up against the wall and it was like a contract year. Well, they've been running mediocre. Now it's time, and this used to happen all the time, especially, 10, 15 years ago in NASCAR, but, now we're in a contract year. And then all of a sudden, performance steps up and you start running better. Well, you know why that is. Now, whether it's a deliberate thing or a conscious thing, it could just be, it could just be, it could just work out that way, I guess is what I'm trying to say. It could just, it is what it is, but it's just funny how that stuff works out to me. Speaking of NASCAR, they were in Iowa. And so I went from watching IMSA, which was a really good race, lots of action, lots of passing, really good stuff, to NASCAR, which was unbelievably boring. They were in Iowa. Iowa had a repave not super long ago. A lot of people don't like the fact that it's been repaved. I'm not crazy about it either. But the track is not the problem, okay? And I've made this point a million times, and I'll keep saying it until I'm blue in the face. The circuits are not the problem. The problem is the car. NASCAR posted a 6 or 7 second clip or GIF on their X account of William Byron being chased by Chase Briscoe towards the end of the race for the win. And you could physically see in just a 6 or 7 second clip, you could physically see Briscoe have an aero wash and losing the front of his car, and he was 10 car lengths behind William. You know, that's the biggest gripe of mine with this new car is the aero. It's not even the tires, which the tires are a problem. It's not the flat floor, which that plays into the aero. But it also just looks stupid. Well, I don't know. It doesn't really look stupid. A diffuser on an oval track car looks stupid. But regardless, my biggest gripe is the aero, you know, and that's everyone's gripe with the car, is that you just can't race in it. You get close to somebody and then you just lose the nose, and you could physically see that today. And Iowa's a short track, you know, relatively speaking. So, and I think it falls into that category based on its length, but it's a short track. You shouldn't be having an issue with aero on a short track. I'm sorry, you shouldn't. I was watching, I think it was 2003, Sharpie 500 the other day, and Daryl DW was talking about one of the cars, I can't remember who, had been damaged in an accident. And they started having a conversation in the booth about what's the rest of their day going to look like. And Larry McReynolds brought up that, hey, we're at Bristol. It doesn't matter. I mean, it really doesn't matter. Unless you've just got like a big parachute on the front of the car, a little bit of damage is not going to hurt you. I think Kevin Harvick finished second at Bristol, I believe in the Sharpie 500 in 2001. And he had the whole front of his car smashed in. He had run into the back of somebody earlier in that race. I think, matter of fact, that race, the 2001 Sharpie 500, it's another one of those races that kind of guts me to this day. The 2002 Sonoma race, Save More, whatever it was called, is like the ultimate gut punch in NASCAR history for me. It's the race that Jerry Nadeau nearly won with Petty Enterprises, and the car broke with a couple laps left while he was leading. But the 2001 Sharpie 500 was another one for me because Jeff Green in that AOL car running, I believe he was running part-time in 2001. They showed up to Bristol with that car, and he was lights out faster than everyone. It's not even close. He should have won that race. And then, looking back at the way that his career worked out, it likely would have been his only win. And they had an accident coming off turn 2, I believe it was. Johnny Benson got turned around, I believe by Brett Bodine. Don't quote me on that, but I think that's who it was. And everybody accordioned up. And in those days, those cars were way more fragile than the ones are today. And I say this for anyone young who's watching this that doesn't know. Those cars back in the day were way more fragile. Okay, you could walk up to one and kind of push in on it with your hand, and you could deform the body on it. It's not really that way now with the Gen 7. These cars are stiff and rigid and take a lot to tear them up. So anyways, when he ran into the back of, I think, Joe Nemechek or something, they all stacked up, and it smashed the front of the car and it knocked the radiator out of it, and that was game over, the race over. And Ron Hornaday was driving for AJ Foyt at the time, and he was also having a good run that weekend, which, fun story about Ron. So from all these old races that I keep watching or whatever, it dawned on me the other day that I don't know what the behind-the-scenes situation was between Ron and AJ Foyt for Ron to be let go after one season. He ran 2001, and that was it. He was a rookie that year. And they missed a couple of races, but that team was hot and cold. But when they were hot, man. They were really, really good. When they were cold, they were out to pasture. They were awful. There was no in-between, So they missed a couple of races, and I think the biggest one they missed was Atlanta late in the year. They had brought a second car to that event for Mark Green, because Mark Green had been helping with Larry Foyt in the Busch Series. So AJ rewarded him by, bringing him there in a Cup car, and both cars missed the field. And so, but anyways, Ron had some really, really good runs in that car, but they had really, really terrible luck. Got caught up in his fair share of accidents. Dover, he was running top 10 and got spun out by Jeff Gordon, caused a big, massive wreck, took out 5 or 6 cars. That was just kind of the story of his time with them. And then after he left, they had Stacy Compton in 2002, and they had a couple of other guys, but no one named Mike Wallace, and they just never really ran good again after that. I think other than PJ Jones drove the car, I believe it was 2002, at Watkins Glen, and got a top 5. If it wasn't, it was 2002, because Ron was gone, so it was 14. So, anyways, coincidentally enough, that 14 car from 01 and 02, or in 2000, is one of my favorite liveries of all time. They're sponsored by Conseco. I don't know what Conseco is. It's not around anymore. I've Googled it, tried to find it. Their logo says Conseco, and then it's got a staircase, and then it says Step Up. So I'm assuming it's some kind of financial, something or another, a lender or something like that. I'm not entirely sure. But man, that car looked good, and it was a Pontiac for the most part. Sometimes they ran Chevrolet, but the Pontiac looked really, really good. That was another case of the race version of the car looked a lot better than the street version of the car. My aunt actually had, I think it was 2002 Grand Prix, and my brother and I, we rode with her from Alabama to South Carolina in 2002, because we went to Hendrick Motorsports, we went to Joe Gibbs, and we went to, I believe, DEI, if I remember correctly. But we went to 3 different race shops and did the tour thing, and I remember she kept showing out in that car while we were on our way out there, because we were like, hey, this is like the same car as what's in NASCAR. Can you like goose it and like make it go fast? And I remember she'd stop at a stop sign or stoplight, pill out, and we thought it was the coolest thing. And looking back, it's like very fortunate she didn't get pulled over, especially in North Carolina. I don't know if I said South Carolina at first. I meant to say North Carolina. We ended up going to South Carolina because that's where she lived, but we made a pit stop in Charlotte and then down to South Carolina. But it was good stuff. But, the thing about NASCAR is all of us who are criticizing them, and it's like we're beating our head against a wall. It's one of those things, it's like you just gotta, if they're going to make these decisions and make the sport what it is now, I mean, it's at a certain point, you just got to throw your hands up and be like, okay, I mean, y'all aren't listening to the fans. If you get on X, the vast majority of everyone that I see is completely opposed to basically everything that NASCAR is doing right now. But they don't listen. So, I mean, at a certain point, you just got to throw your hands up and just go find something else. I watched the NASCAR Canadian Series yesterday, or I believe it was Saturday. Well, yeah, yesterday. My God. I'm losing track of what my days are. I'm sitting here thinking it's Monday. No, it's Sunday. So yesterday. And I can't pronounce the name of the racetrack. It's a French name. French Canadian. Anyways, it was a really good race. It's basically, it's not basically, it is. It's the old NASCAR Series, Canadian Association for Stock Car Racing. NASCAR bought them out and switched it over to the NASCAR Canadian Series. But man, do they put on some good racing. I mean, those guys were beating and banging, and they had a couple accidents, but it was kind of like the IMSA race, there was nothing over the top, nothing where just you see some guy go in there and just dump somebody or something like that. It was good racing, good racing, and plus the cars are cool, man. They have Camaros, but they also have Dodge Challengers. DJ Kennington, who's been racing forever, by the way. I remember pulling for that dude when I was a kid. And he's driven Dodges forever, but he's always sponsored by Castrol, so his cars look fantastic. He was in the race, and Andrew Ranger was in the race, which he's another one that I've pulled for. He drove one of Armando Fitt's Dodges, I believe in 2008. somewhere in that ballpark in some nationwide races or Xfinity races, and ran really good. And with that team, that was one thing that just always impressed me, that Armando, by that point in time, Armando and Terry Bradshaw had parted company, so it was just Armando Fitz. And for Andrew to come in there in a car that had run mediocre at best and to run top 10, I don't care if you have all the road racing experience in the world, that's still impressive. And he's one of those guys too that he should have received a better opportunity in NASCAR, I believe personally. And he could have been a big name. I mean, you see what Shane's done on road courses, and I think Andrew's just as good as Shane is. Could be wrong, but anyways, that's it. If you enjoy, listen to me ramble about cars, motorsports, anything like that, make sure to like, subscribe, leave a comment, turn on notifications, the works. Make sure to follow us on X and Facebook. Those links are in the description. Also, if you're interested in diecast cars, t-shirts, hats, auto parts, or basically anything, check out our eBay. The link is in the description as well. We have an ongoing sale. It'll be going on for the foreseeable future. Got to get rid of all this stuff, so make sure to check that out. If you see something you're interested in, shoot me an offer and we'll go from there. Until next time, thank you guys and gals for watching. Love you. God bless. Peace.